Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today we're talking Emily in Paris, Season 2, Episode 8, Champagne Problems. You guys, they are back at the chateau, and those episodes just hit me the right way. I really like them. Remember last time she was at the chateau, she hooked up with Camille's brother, so that was one of my favorite episodes as far as funny goes last season, and we're back here again this time. But before we get into this episode, I just want to throw out one thing. Before we jump into it, I did want to let you know I have a Patreon now, so check that out. Patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps, and you'll find my logo and you'll find us. So take a look at that, see if it works out. The first episode's free. You can watch it here on YouTube. After that, you can check them out on Patreon. We're doing the original Sex and the City series. Okay, so Camille is back. Emily is grateful she's back on the Champagne account. That just does not roll off my tongue. And what's funny is anytime I take notes on this show, autocorrect always either tries to make it champagne or shampooer. So Emily's pitching this champagne challenge where they're hoping it'll go viral. How do you pop your top? So they want to make champagne fun and accessible. We'd like to launch on your Instagram account this weekend. Camille's like, okay, but let me show you this. Her dad made the most disturbing ad. It's like porn music. It's him saying all about pleasure and all this. And they say, oh, he's gone rogue. He's making his own advertisements. This isn't good. So Camille says, come out to the chateau with me this weekend. We'll talk to Dad. We'll get him round on this Pop Your Top challenge. So then we go back to Emily's apartment. Mindy's there. She says she's going to give Mindy and Benoit the apartment for the weekend because she's going to be going to Camille's because Mindy wants to hook up with Benoit. What is Mindy wearing? I love Mindy. She's gorgeous. What is this outfit? I hate it so much. All I could think of is the Nike check marks. I'm not feeling that. So Mindy's feeling back like she's at boarding school. She's nervous. Emily's having dinner with Alfie. Speak of the devil, he messages her. He's waiting for their date, and he ends up at the restaurant across the street. Whose restaurant? Gabriel's restaurant. Because things aren't awkward enough. So Emily tries to steer Alfie away and go to a different place, but Gabriel's like, no, I insist. Stay here, have dinner. It's awkward, but they do. Alfie says usually French food can be too fussy, but this is great. So Gabriel comes over and he asks where they met. Alfie says French class. I thought she was annoying at first. Alfie excuses himself, so Gabriel and Emily talk for a minute. And how much less complicated it is with Alfie. And she says, especially since he doesn't have a girlfriend that I have to work with. Gabriel says, everything's on the house and brings out the most amazing looking food, but like 10 pounds of it, right? So they'll be so full they won't be able to do anything else, which I thought was a really funny plot point. So after they've eaten all the food, they're so happy they leave, and Alfie even says, I'm too full to do anything. This has to be it. And she's like, no, it's fine. I have an early morning. But at the same time, we can see Gabriel is outside of his restaurant, and he's kind of laughing because he knows what he did. He did it on purpose so they wouldn't have sex. So Camille and Emily arrive at Camille's chateau. And Emily explains the competition about the most creative way to open a bottle of champagne. Camille's brother is there. I believe his name was Steven. And this is the one that she had hooked up with last time, right? He's so good looking, but yeah, he's young. So he's winking at Emily. This photographer arrives. He's going to help with a champagne challenge about popping the top. He's going to take pictures so they can post the photos and get it to go viral. So then we get a look at Sylvie. We see more of Sylvie. She's with her photographer. They go for ice cream, walking around. They're speaking Italian. He invites her to come hang out with friends the next day, like for lunch or something. Well, while they're walking around, they run into Antoine. So remember her history with Antoine. Antoine and his wife are there, and they ask to be introduced to the photographer. She explains that he's a photographer, basically like a work colleague, to try to minimize the relationship. She plays it down, but they still want to meet him. They meet him, and when she walks away with the photographer, she apologizes and says she likes to keep her personal life private around work people. Then says she won't be able to go to lunch with him and his friends tomorrow. My apologies. Seems like Antoine kicked up some feelings maybe for her, in her, because they, of course, have a past and a history together. Back at Camille's, Emily is talking with Alfie. Camille kind of walks up and finds out about him and says, "Why didn't you tell me?" And she shows Camille pictures, and Camille says, "He's so hot. I'm happy for you." Well, then Camille's dad comes out and he decides he's going to saber the champagne. That's going to be the way he does his challenge. It's supposed to go viral. It's going to be something that Emily videos. Well, she's a little off her game. She doesn't video it the first time, so she makes him do it a couple of times. She gets her video, and what happens? He's saying, "I love champagne. This is how I pop my top." He goes to saber the champagne, and you guys, he cuts his thumb off. It was so shocking when I saw it. So she gets blood all over her. Camille passes out. Emily has to help find the tip of his thumb. They have to get him into the hospital. The brother's running around. He grabs the tip, throws it in the ice bucket from the champagne, and they all head off to the hospital. Well, then Camille gets a call that her dad's going to be okay. So she leaves her phone to go tell her mom, "Hey, Dad's going to be okay." Timothy is her brother. He called and let her know. So when she walked away from her phone, Gabriel calls. She misses his call. When she doesn't answer, Gabriel calls the house. Well, her mom lays it on thick and says it was irresponsible of Emily to ask him to do such a dangerous stunt. So Gabriel says, tell him to feel better soon. And she says, "You come down here and tell him yourself." Emily takes this nap. She collapses back on the bed because she's been feeling so bad about it. She wakes up and, she checked the video. There was so unusable because there was blood splatter in it. So when she walks out after her nap, she finds that everybody's had dinner. Gabriel's there. She's surprised to see him. It's awkward. Then Camille comes into Emily's room later and says, "It's nice that Gabriel has come down. He was so worried. Tell me about your gorgeous new man." And Gabriel knocks on the door and Camille says, "It's Emily's room. Were you looking for Emily or were you looking for both of us?" And he says he was looking for both of them. He just wanted to say goodnight. Camille thanks him for coming, says it means a lot to all of them and that she still cares about him, and he says he still cares about her. It's awkward. Emily's kind of a third wheel. She tries to excuse herself, but it's her room. Next day at Sylvie's, Antoine is calling and says his wife would like to invite her and her boyfriend to dinner. She says, "I thought I made it clear we were work colleagues," and Antoine says, "Well, that's good because you look silly." You guys, I love Sylvie. I can't say it enough. I couldn't stand her first season. Love her this season. They have done her the Samantha Jones treatment because she's like, "I'll show you, silly." She dresses gorgeous. She goes to meet the photographer and his friends. When she goes there, he needs to go pull up a chair, so he walks away for a minute. The waitress says, "What will you be having for lunch?" And then she says, "What will your son be having?" And Sylvie stands up. She doesn't even hesitate and says, "My son will be having me." And they kiss. So that was a very Samantha Jones move to me. So Emily's packing up. She hears giggling and she sees Camille and Gabriel have gone for a walk. And you guys, it's weird. I'm going to go ahead and because this is the end of the episode, I just want to talk about it. So this whole thing, I did enjoy the episode, but it was kind of weird, right? Like, obviously the mom is masterminding this. Obviously Camille wants to get back together with Gabriel. I felt like Gabriel is kind of still into Emily, right? And they're kind of pushing Gabriel and Camille together. And I don't know, I just don't love that storyline. I mean, if they want to be together, fine, but I know they have to have conflict. I just don't understand that storyline so much. And they kind of made Emily feel weird. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. What are your thoughts on it? Did you enjoy the episode? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll keep going with the last 2 episodes, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.